fellas! We are finally getting our first proper look at The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom tomorrow at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, hosted by AGA Enuma for 10 goddamn minutes. And I say first proper look because we have seen the game in a few different trailers, but we've never actually seen the game. So I'm rambling about this with Derek Birner and Daniel Elba. Hi, fellas.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going good, Daniel. We've gone many, many years now. It was 2019 this game was announced. We're now in 2023. And so far, in pretty much every trailer, they've shown us small glimpses of the sky. But otherwise, it's usually just the old Hyrule from Breath of the Wild with a few new abilities. And sometimes like a little sneak peek of underground areas, but that's all we have seen. I feel like we haven't actually seen Tears of the Kingdom. There's so much they're holding back. But come tomorrow, do you think we will be satisfied with this game?
That's the trickiest part, isn't it? Because it's only 10 minutes, which is a lot, but also not. Because, they could just show, like, here's the basics, here's what the, here's, it's still very much Breath of the Wild, but here's our new twists. And that's, 10 minutes is plenty of time to show that off. But if people want, like, here's the story setup, here's the new gimmick, here's how the sky thing works, here's what's all those vehicles about, here's new enemies, that sort of stuff. There's a lot that they can show. So it all matters about what they decide to show. Because they'll definitely hold a lot close to the vest. This is Nintendo with Zelda. They always do that.
It's interesting because last time with Breath of the Wild, they were definitely hesitant of what they were showing, but still they showed a lot more than this. We got some pretty robust trailers, and they also had Treehouse as well, right? Where they had those giant Great Plateau demos showing pretty much the entirety of that section. Whereas with Tears of the Kingdom, we've had nothing like that. And I'm kind of expecting this 10-minute preview to be a bit more like those Great Plateau showings, but still 10 minutes is not the hours upon hours that they showed us last time. This is still a very deliberate slice. But Daniel, do you think this slice is going to blow us away?
I think it's going to give us at least a better taste for what this game has to offer. At least that's what's unique to this game. Because we've been grasping at straws here. There's been so many people analyzing every little bit of the previous trailers that we've received so far. And even the last one as well. It's just so many people trying to figure out, what is this game about? What is it about it that gives it its identity compared to the original Breath of the Wild? And I think hopefully within those 10 minutes, this is like one of their last chances to really give us anything, because
they've been marketing the other game on Twitter. They keep doing like Breath of the Wild posts.
It's like, did you know you can use stasis on rocks and have it, like, what? I know this already. Like, tell me about Link's arm or the mechanics. I hope we see something about. I want to see AGI Onuma build a car. I want to see what's going on with that system there, because they showed a few of those vehicles in the previous trailer, and I'm just like, how is this going to affect traversal in this game when you can just warp from one waypoint to the other?
I think customization's probably going to be a pretty big part of Tears of the Kingdom. When you think about Breath of the Wild, you're improvising with what they've given you already. Like, you find a sword, you find a cliff, you find a horse. That's all stuff that they've given you to come along. Whereas with Tears of the Kingdom, we've already seen how there's vehicles you can build. We've seen there's enemies which seemingly have those vehicle components that you can sort of take and build with. I think there's probably going to be an exhaustive use of that mechanic. And I've seen lots of worry about, like, what if this is it? What if these trailers they've shown us, what if that is the game? What if that is everything and it's just a bit underwhelming? I think there's zero chance of that. Breath of the Wild redefined Zelda and open world games. They're not going to wait 6 years just to do an iterative sequel with barely any changes. I know COVID happened, but still, this game's been in development for a long time. And I think there is absolutely zero chance that it is just Breath of the Wild again.
No. There's no way it's just, Breath of the Wild but with sky or building whatever. It's definitely going to have its own thing. Because even in Breath of the Wild, they had tons of scrapped ideas that didn't make it into the game. And that's entirely possible here. And, in case people forgot, Nintendo definitely held things close to their vest with Breath of the Wild, we didn't know Lionels existed until the game released and reviews came out. I don't even think reviews were allowed to talk about it. I remember that being a specific thing that Nintendo did not allow reviewers to talk about, is that the existence of Lionels. And that became one of the most defining pieces of Breath of the Wild, in my opinion, just as far as enemies go, because they were so challenging.
Breath of the Wild was very genius in many ways, but I do think its enemy variety, especially when you're like 400 hours in, is lacking. It's mostly just like bokoblins, it's the lizards, it's the Lionels. That's kind of what they've got. And Tears of the Kingdom not only can bring a lot of those back and reiterate upon them, but there's also different overworlds. It's kind of like Gravity Rush 2 in a way, where you've got like the overworld of the first games come back, but you've also got the sky, and I guess the underground. We don't know how elaborate that's going to be. But there's so many question marks. Like, is it 3 overworlds combined? Like, what is the scale of this? How large is this going to be? How different is the old Hyrule going to be? There's a ton of question marks. And as Derek said, there's a lot of cut elements from Breath of the Wild. And Fujibayashi tends to bring back elements that he's done from his prior directed works, as we pointed out in our Oracles videos. Like, he brought back minecarts, he brought back your weapons being stolen, you have to sneak in to go and find them. He does his ideas again and again and again. And Breath of the Wild was going to have the Minish in there, which was another one of his directed games, and that was cut. So there's a chance that we're going to see Minish again, there's a chance that we're going to hop into a kangaroo pouch. Like, there's so many
There's going to be an island, I'm going to predict it now, there's going to be an island where you're actually small. Like, they just make all the assets bigger, and that's it. That's all it's going to be. Is they're going to bring back the Minish in that way, but just for that area.
That'd be awesome. Like, you just step foot in just one little section of the land, and all of a sudden you're just small.
Yeah.
Oh, that would look fantastic. Just how everything would just be scaled, like, so that you're so small, and then seeing everything around you. Because the sprite work in Minish Cap is beautiful. Seeing how they incorporated everything to be larger while you're this tiny little creature, and to see that in 3D would be a really cool. Just the visual itself, because there's so many things they can do with this right now, right? We don't know just really anything. It's funny to go into the discussion, just not sure what exactly to bring up, because we don't know what they can bring up, and that's exciting in itself, honestly.
I still think we're going to have a lot of questions after this, but
absolutely.
I kind of expect them to not have that much story going on. I think it's just going to be Aonuma wandering around Hyrule. Maybe they'll edit it so it shows a few more areas, but I'm kind of expecting just a literal gameplay demo. But hopefully that can still showcase the variety that you can do in this game. Because Breath of the Wild, people are still discovering new things there, and to think that they potentially are going way further than that is very exciting. And shout out to Eiji Aonuma. He is looking dapper right now.
Yeah, he is.
With that fresh cut still?
Yeah, I mean, his haircut's changed a little bit from last time, but he used to always have the same look all the time, quite like a shaggy sort of hair look. But now he's wearing blazers, he's got this nice little neat haircut, his facial hair's neat, his glasses are circular, I think they used to be square. So I think Breath of the Wild did well for his finances.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We finally afforded him a proper glow up.
Yeah, there you go.
That was the sequel to Aonuma right there. But yeah, I think we can ramble about this for a long time. There's probably no need to, because we can't really make predictions about a game with so little info. But have you guys got anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
I mean, I figure we can each give like one crazy prediction. We'll see. I guess I've technically already given my crazy prediction as far as like an island where you're a Minish, or you're small, or either Link is small, becomes small, or enemies become huge. And I think it'd be kind of a fun boss idea if you wanted to have for that island, to make a regular enemy, or maybe even a guardian be the boss, and you have to enter the guardian in order to get through it. Or that's a dungeon. There you go. It's just the inner workings of a guardian. I don't know. Could be fun.
I mean, you said the word dungeon there too. Oh, we have no idea about dungeons. Do you think there's going to be dungeons?
I'm going to go on a limb and say yes.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go a little bit more traditional. Definitely won't be traditional dungeons. It'll be some sort of mix between that openness of being able to solve your own things, but also having that sort of more structured design.
I think we'll definitely get hints of something more dungeon-like, because that's something that people really talked about in Breath of the Wild, was that, sure, there were like over 100 shrines, and then the 4 actual divine beasts were the stand-in for dungeons, but we didn't have anything like traditional from the original Zelda to incorporate that. So I imagine we would see that. And then the bosses in those as well. Like, Speaking of enemy variety, imagine if we have, and there's been hints of this, of like other classic Zelda creatures from even as early as the very first game returning and being they're having a new iteration in this game, which is exciting to see. I hope we see something like that because we've already seen a good amount of variety like those golem automatons and those such things. But yeah, people are really craving for those classics.
A big part of progression is you still have to sort of take the world as you want, like not following a strict order. And sometimes maybe having like 12 dungeons can get in the way of that, because that way you do have to go exactly where they want you to go. But that said, they pulled it off pretty well with just 4 in the first game, so maybe there's no reason they couldn't do that. And with the underground, that seems like that's like ripe for dungeon potential. And I do hope that the underground is more than just sort of dark, dingy walls. I'd love to see this sort of underground utopia that's still brilliantly designed. It isn't just, you know, caves. I think they probably will do way more than that, right? I think the underground
I would hope so.
can be super elaborate. But my prediction, though, is about sky traversal, because we've seen a little bit. We've seen Link sort of drip up like a water droplet into a part of the sky. We've seen him piloting a vehicle. I think skydiving is going to be the interesting part, though, because in the first game it's just a paraglider. And we've sort of seen clips of him where he's sort of got his arms out. You can sort of move him around a little bit. I think we're going to get full-on, like, flying squirrel sort of gliding, though, in the sky. Because how else are you going to get to all those islands? There's got to be some more deeper, some much deeper flying mechanic.
It would make sense.
Yeah, there has to be something unique. As far as traversal goes, I also thought of another thing, like a while back, honestly. Something that was not present at all in Breath of the Wild was the hookshot. There wasn't any kind of item like that. So I was thinking, now that I've seen how Link's arm functions, imagine if there's like an energy that extends from his hand and it can latch onto certain surfaces and hookshot himself to different places. It could be an extremely long one, or, you know, for more precise, because the whole thing with this game is there's more elevation, whether you're talking about vertically upward or down in the other ground.
It actually, that idea of yours, Daniel, reminds me of Just Cause, of all things, because one of the cool things about that is you have this grapple hook that you could use at all times, plus a parachute, and you could use those two in conjunction to just sort of pull yourself along in the sky and get a lot of momentum. So doing that with Link and a hookshot would be a cool way of extending that traversal.
Hookshot's a fan favorite, and not having it in Breath of the Wild, I mean, I understand they want us to emphasize climbing and all that, but at this point, if we're doing so much more vertical exploration, maybe they'll have something in conjunction like that, as you said. So I'm interested to see if that pops up. It feels like something they would give you like late game, when you can like just explore anywhere at that point, but who knows, honestly, with the way they're designing this game.
One last prediction from me. I think weapon durability still a thing. I think it's a big part of why the game is fun. But also, I think they'll probably be a bit more lenient with it, though. I think maybe if there's so much customization, like customizing vehicles, then there's no reason you wouldn't be able to customize your weapons too. And in fact, we've seen like small glimpses of weapons looking a little bit strange. So I wonder if they've been customized to some extent, and maybe you can not necessarily repair weapons, but maybe make their durability last longer, or something like that. But I do think it is important that your weapons aren't immortal.
I wonder if there'll be like crafting in this, where you can take weapons that are degraded a little bit and combine them into new ideas.
Oh, combining weapons would be fun. Like combining fire weapons with just like a standard blade and making like a fire master sword or something.
Yeah.
I do think there's going to be some kind of crafting in this, because in the last trailer you could see the weapons that Link are holding, there's like an emblem on them, and that emblem is also present on like some of the vehicles. So there has to be something related to crafting in some shape or form, because those are items we haven't seen before, like the one also with the Zonai dragon on the shield that shoots fire.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like that, that looks like something that might have been a craft item. So I'm
right. And they had cooking in the first game, which kind of explores that element somewhat, but nowhere to that degree. But they have already had mixing of elements together, so it's a mechanic that's established.
Yeah, we just gotta let Eiji Aonuma cook and let us
let him cook. Let that man cook. But yeah, we can ramble about this for a while. You're gonna hear from us again tomorrow, though, as we watch and react to Eiji Aonuma showing us Tears of the Kingdom for pretty much the first time. So we'll catch you all then, and we love you all. Daniel, do you love our viewers?
I love our viewers so much. Come here, give them a big ol' smooch. Mwah.
You get a nice handshake from me. I don't want to get too invasive in your privacy, in your space.
I'll get in your space. Respectfully.